Hello and welcome to Aspen Therapy and Arbor Rehabilitation's training video for completing treatment encounter notes, billing, and the labor log in Optima's point-of-care platform. You'll notice that when you sign in, the first screen that you see looks fairly familiar, although the setup is a little bit different. You're going to log in with your current username and your current password that you're using with Optima. Those will not change. As you sign in, it'll take a moment for all of this information to load. That's because this is a web-based platform. And the benefit of that is that once the evaluation is launched, once the track has been started, evaluations can be finished offline. You can do your treatment encounter notes offline. You do not need internet access to do your treatment encounter notes for the day. You will need internet access at the end of the day or periodically through the day to upload your documents and data. Now that we can see the full screen and we are in the sandbox, we have a list of patients, and that's the first thing that you'll see. Over here you've got the My Patients tab with the drop-down, and you can look at downloaded patients, those with open tracks, who has documents that are due. That's what we will see under My Patients tab. The Tasks tab is being eliminated by Optima because it was not as user-friendly as they'd hoped for it to be. The Appointments will list who has appointments for the day. As we go through My Patients, we're going to go ahead and do a treatment encounter note. We see different symbols here. This means that Ed needs to be downloaded, so we're going to go ahead and click on that and do that. When you see the refresh button and a time, this shows that it's been 0 minutes since we've downloaded or refreshed Ed's information. In this case, it's been an hour since we've refreshed his PT information. And for Gigi's information, it's been an hour. We want to keep this tab refreshed. We want to keep this information current and up to date so that information comes over to us that is the most accurate it can be. Your building manager, your FRC, is going to have to do some information input in our current platform for Rehab Optima, but then it does pull over into point of care. So again, if we keep this current, we're going to have the latest and greatest information. For example, it might impact appointments and that type of information. So we're going to look at Ed's document here. We've got his name showing on the patient list. We come over and click on the blue triangle, which will open up his documentation. This is like going into Case Manager. We click on Therapy Track Details, and that will open up his information. We have the timeline. We see all that's been going on for Ed. We have his profile, his medical information, encounters, documents, and section GG. Documents would be the tab we would click on if we were going to do, for example, a progress note or a therapy addendum note, and you'll hear more about that in a subsequent video. For encounters, that's like doing our treatment encounter note. So for today, we're going to add the encounter, although we could change the date. Excuse me. Once this loads, we are going to ignore the create template and apply template. We're going to ignore those sections. We're just going to work from the tabs across the top here. And this is showing that we have one visit for today. This is only showing a total for today's visits. That's the details, and we can change the date of service here as well. We go to the treatment log, and that's like our current treatment log where we can input billing. So we're going to put in 22 minutes, for example, of neural reeducation. You see that we have the exclamation point here. That means we are required to do documentation since we built for this area. If we're not sure what neural re-ed is, we can click on the information tab, and it will tell us that a little bit about that we need to have skilled information to support medical necessity for this code. When we click on history, the H button, and in this situation, because we're in the sandbox, there is no history to report on this item. Otherwise, it would bring up previous notes where we have documented on the various neuro techniques that might have been done. When we go to the TXT button, that takes us to the build boxes. And again, you'll recognize the build phrases, but it just functions a little bit differently. So we're in neuro re-ed. New sentence is the same as it currently is, just looks a little different. We can talk about general re-ed, balance training, or positioning, but you'll see these areas are grayed out. To navigate through the build phrases, you would either click down or back up to get to those additional fields. So if we wanted to go to, for example, information on positioning, click on the positioning, and it brings up the build phrases over here to the right, kind of similar to what we had in our current Rehab Optima platform. So over here we have build phrases, and we can click on various approaches that we might want to include on our daily note. If we click on the star, that will bring that information to the very top of our list. You'll see this was already starred because in a previous note, I said for neuro-re-ed positioning, I like the build phrase for pelvic positioning adjustments. So that brought that to the top of my list of choices. If I type in custom text, watch what happens over here. It's going to add that information to the beginning of the note in the front of the build phrase that put in the word test. I can either click on new sentence or the narrative is complete, and it will take me back to the body of the note. So again, if you needed to add in information, you can also type here and free type in what's appropriate. And the same works for the additional areas where you may want to do some additional documentation and billing. For the purposes of this training video, we're just going to simply put in the word text. But the text box, the history box, they all work the same. If you've entered this information in error for this person, clicking that X takes up that data. And you can click in on something else that might be more accurate. Okay? So that's how this is going to work. You're going to also notice down here that it will show if we had concurrent therapy allowed, if there was a concurrent patient being treated by Ed today, then we might be able to show concurrent minutes. Right now, this is all showing as individual minutes. We can click on done. And yes, we'd like to complete the e-signing process. So there's an attestation statement that shows up now that indicates that you are responsible for the accuracy of the document. We're going to attest to it, of course. And it's going to show that we can upload that document and it will e-sign once we upload it. We click on the back tab, and that will take us to now we have, it would appear to be 2 documents that we need to upload. In my sandbox, there is always 1 document that's incomplete that will need to be uploaded. But when I click this and it uploads, it will show that I should get down to now only 1 document. I want to save the e-signed encounter, and I want to save my frequently used scale values, my choice words from the build phrases. So I'm going to save that to the server. And I'm going to type on my password and e-sign it. And now you'll notice I have green squares here that show I have completely uploaded and saved that document. I want to continue working in this site. This is the next queue that you will see. You can either add other encounters for other patients, or you can add your labor for the day if you're done. So we're going to click on labor and activities log. And once that loads, okay, we can put in our labor for today. So we're going to put in that we worked, for example, from maybe here in this building from 7:30 a.m. till maybe 1 o'clock for today. And you can click as done, and it will show that you had a 5.5-hour day in that particular building. You can click on done there as well. Okay, and then you can sign out. And in this case, because I have 1 unsaved document that's chronically unsaved, I am going to go ahead and sign out without uploading. Okay, thank you for your time and attention to this video. That concludes this training session.